I am Dr. Denise Rollins from the Whole Heart Grief and Life Resource Center, and I would like to welcome you to day 8 of our 21 Days to Life program. If you are like me, you are accustomed to starting the year off on what you believe is a good note, and you want to make sure that lasts the entire year. So in this 21 days, we are creating a habit and a flow so that together we will make sure that what we intend at the beginning of the year actually happens throughout the year. All right, as we get started today, I just wanted to tell everybody, take a breath. Take a breath and take a moment to acknowledge that you have truly committed to doing something different for yourself in 2025. And I often think about the analogy people give when you're on a plane. If you remember, some of us listen to the instructions and some of us do not. But for those of us who do, we remember that they say if something happens and the plane is going down, you've got to put the breathing apparatus on your face first before you help somebody who's with you. And I think that we often skip that. We cannot breathe, we cannot see, we cannot even get up some days, yet we're helping other people and getting them to where they need to go. And it is this analogy that keeps coming back to me that we're giving from an empty cup, and we weren't created to do that. So this process is all about you putting that mask on yourself, taking care of you so that you can be stronger in taking care of other folks. And just let me know that you're here, because I continue to say your presence matters. And I am so appreciative and grateful that you took the time to be with us today. So as I navigate my journey today, I want you to know this, that everything that we say and we share here is something that can be interpreted in different ways by anybody who hears the message. And so my challenge to you today and the rest of this program is that if anything confuses you, if there's anything that you're not sure about, then I'm going to please ask you to ask us a question, whether you do it in the comments or whether you do it afterwards. We've got the private Facebook page. You can ask there, but you also can email us at support@wholeheartcenter.org. And you can also text us at 866-393-5847. So as we get started today, what I want to talk about is, before we start this next week, which is what could be holding you back, we've got to finish the question from yesterday. And the question was asked is, what do you want for yourself in 2025? And I'm curious to learn from you, was that a hard question for you to answer, or was it an easy question? And if you can share in the comments, that would be wonderful. And the reason I say that is because for some of us, when you ask me, what do I want for me in 2025, it goes back to that mask analogy where I'm so busy putting and doing for other people that I don't even know what my desires are. I don't even know how to fill my own needs because I've never put them first. And so for those of us who are like that, this could be a really hard question when I ask you, what is it that you want for yourself in 2025? So if it's a hard question for you, let me know that. But if also for some of us, it's an easy question. And it's easy because you came into 2025 and you had already set some resolutions and some goals, and you said, this is what I'm going to achieve. So maybe the process that we've done the last 7 days has kind of pulled back the curtain on that. And that process was good for you, but also it was pretty easy because you already knew what you wanted to say. So whether it was easy or hard, I would love for you to share that with me in the comments. As we do that, I want to just reflect on how it was for me to answer that question. And it was a little hard because I am the woman who takes care of everyone else and not herself. And so I'm trying to feel like, what is it that I really want? So it was hard in that sense, but it was easier because it was part of this 7-day process. And when I looked at the way I started the week, which was, what is your word for 2025? I chose light. And I said, I wanted to look to the light. I wanted to reflect that light. And I also wanted to be light because I don't want to carry burdens that I'm not supposed to carry. So when I thought about that all week, these messages of light, love, and life kept coming through. It was like this was a theme for me. So by the time I got to day 6, this whole idea of wanting abundance was a confirmation for me. And as I shared yesterday, and I'm going to share my screen today, I said to you that I went ahead and did some research about what it means to have an abundant life. And so when I'm answering this question yesterday is, what do I want for myself in 2025? It was easy because I pasted on my page the little screenshot I gave to you yesterday that said, this is what it means to have an abundant life. I want fullness. I want rest. I want appreciation. I want strength. I want confidence. I want security, and I want oneness with God. It was so very clear to me what I wanted. And in fact, by the time we got done with yesterday's session, can I tell y'all, I was walking like pretty tall. I was feeling good. I'm like, got off this session. I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I want, abundance. And I'm happy. I go to work. I share it with coworker Shirley. And I'm like, yes, I'm telling her all this good stuff. I'm feeling like I'm walking in my purpose. I am high, and high in a good way, right? So when you get to that high point, it's just like, for me, like I'm feeling blessed, and I'm feeling favored, and I'm feeling good, and I'm saying the right things. I'm being patient with people. And like when I drove to work, I'm blasting my gospel music, making me feel good. So this whole, like, I'm on a high. I'm on a high. And that is part of what we talk to people about in this whole heart world, that when we call it spiraling up. And spiraling up is when things are going your way and you're feeling good, you tend to do certain things, you tend to think certain things, and you tend to feel certain things. So they were all good yesterday. So if I was on that high yesterday morning and most of the day, why is it by 7:00 p.m. I was on one of the lowest points that I've felt, especially this year because it's only been 8 days, but the lowest point I've felt in a while. The question is, wait a minute, I'm facilitating the program. I'm sitting here talking about abundance. I know what abundance means. It confirms what I thought from my life before, that I wanted my cup to overflow, and that overflow blesses everybody around me. I'm feeling good. I want a 10. How do I get to 2? And I'm going to tell you. How I got to 2 is I was told something that I wanted to happen was most likely not going to happen. And it was almost in the instance that this high that I was on totally reversed itself. There's a quote that says, the height of our joy is only matched by the depth of our sorrow. And so what I know when I work with clients is oftentimes we can be really high, but it also says we have the propensity at times to go really low, not because we're bad people, but because we're human. And so here it is, around 4:00 yesterday, I hit this wall. And when I hit the wall, everything changed. And I had patience and joy and kindness in the beginning of the day. And by the end of the day, I'm just feeling mad. And I'm thinking, like, this always happens to me. Nothing is ever going to work out. I'm just so tired of being so tired. I snap at my husband when he gets in the car. I'm not even playing the music because I don't want to hear any music, because I am just at that point. The beauty is, at some point we realize immediately that we're in that spiraling down place and we can stop ourselves. But sometimes, can I tell you that I'm just human? And so it took me about 2-3 hours to work my way out of it. Now, the beauty is I did work my way out of it. But the reality is, for those 2 or 3 hours, I literally made myself physically ill so that when I came home, I had to go lay down because I didn't feel good. I didn't want anything to eat. I was thinking I'm gonna need to call my friend Dion and help her to get her to help me through this because I'm never going to get through it. Now, calling a friend to help you work through something is not a bad thing. But I think in that moment, what I realized is, what are you going to do if this was 3 o'clock in the morning, Denise? You can't call and wake her up. Now, she would answer the phone because she's that kind of person, but I wouldn't do that to her because I know she has responsibilities to take care of. So it was this reminder to myself that I could coach myself through this period of me spiraling down. Because at some point I realized you are spiraling. I came in the house and later I went down to get something to drink, and my stepmom was like, I didn't even know you were home. Why? Because my normal habit is to come in and say, hey, how was your day? Talk to her, be upbeat, laugh about something before I go on upstairs. But yesterday, there was none of that. And if I think about this goal I set for myself, what do I want for myself in 2025? I want to live a life of abundance. Can you can you really imagine, was that abundance? It was not. What it was is me living from that cup that is almost empty. And it happened so quickly that it took me a minute to realize it and work my way out of it. So I started at this high and I made it to this low. Now I was able to coach myself out of it. And this is something called our self coaching model, which is the conflict model that we're going to go over in this next week. But I need to ask you a question. Am I the only one that has moments like that? Like, do you ever have moments where it seems like everything is going the right way and it just flips? And if you do, can you just say yes in the comments so I don't feel like I'm this big idiot who is the only one that ever happens to? So if you have that happen, can you tell me? Because that would help me a little bit. Karen says, call on Jesus. Yep, because when I'm spiraling up, when I realize that I'm in that place, and when I'm spiraling back up, it is me calling on Jesus. Look, think about this fact that I said that my word for 2025 is light. And that's the way I worked my way out of it, because I was like, okay, wait a minute, look to the light. Look to the light, because what I was doing at that moment is I was just sitting in darkness. I was sitting in everything that wasn't happening, everything that couldn't happen, everything that had disappointed me in 2024. And that's a very, very dark place. That's where I was so grateful for my word, because my word said, look to the light. And I had to do that in order to pull myself out of that situation. So if anybody ever has that happen for you, oh my goodness, I got some yes, 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 and yes. All right. Okay. So I am not alone in this. And what that also tells you is that you're not alone in this, that there are some things that trigger us. And here's the beauty of it. The things that trigger us have patterns, and it tends to be the same triggers, just in different situations. So in this case for me, it looked like I was not going to get my way. Something that I really had worked hard for and expected was not going to work out. And I've found that throughout my life, when there are these times when it doesn't look like I'm going to get my way, it triggers me and it brings up some things that I struggled with in my past. When I talked to you before about this whole idea that I grew up with such low self-esteem, so that low self-esteem translates itself to, you're not getting what you want because you don't deserve it. You're not getting what you want because you're not a good person. It's these voices that continue to nag at me. And we talked about that earlier in the week, where we said sometimes you got to tell those voices to shut the heck up, because it's you. Those voices that you're listening to, we've got to change the tenor and the tone of those voices so that they don't allow me to spiral down. But I dismiss them and say, no, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. No, I'm speaking life back to myself, and we're going to talk about that. But we first have to acknowledge that there are these things that trigger us. And so part of our process, when we say that the first week is, who are you really? The second week is what's holding you back. And what I'd like to submit to you is the things that hold us back are nothing new under the sun. The things that hold us back are things that we probably have been dealing with for a lifetime. And we thought maybe in little ways that we addressed them. But what we have to do is find a solution so that every time this happens, I go to that solution and I remind myself of certain things. Not only do I change the way that I think, but I also change the things that I do. So when I realize that I'm snapping at people or, I'm feeling physically ill because of a situation that's going on, then I'm figuring out what is it that I need to do to turn that situation around. And when I realize that my emotions and mostly negative emotions are overtaking me, how do I change that? Oftentimes I deal with clients who say, so-and-so, they made me feel this way. What we're going to do is lovingly reject that mindset that no one can make us feel any sort of way. Now, something can happen and I quickly start feeling something, but that feeling is a choice. And so between that happening and you feeling something, there's a middle point. It might be a second. But it's a middle point. And what we say in the whole heart world is that middle point is a chance for you to pause. And I should have done a graphic for this and I didn't, but let me tell you what pause means in our world. Pause means perhaps another understanding should be explored. Perhaps another understanding should be explored. That's what this pause is for us. And so yesterday I didn't look like I was going to get my way. And I immediately started to react. But wait, if I had paused, now it took me a couple hours to pause, but I did it. And so I want to acknowledge that. In the future, I want to do it more quickly. But that pause says, maybe it isn't. First of all, what you're being told might not be true, number one. Number two, okay, maybe there's something you can do about this situation. This has nothing to do with your worth and your worth to God and all this other stuff. So all the things that I'm telling myself, this has nothing to do with 2024. This is a new year. All of those things I'm coaching myself through, and the power of us doing it ourselves is that if you like, I welcome you to pay me as your coach, right? I will do that because I love working with people and I love seeing them learn, grow, and heal. But what I love even more is giving them the tools so that they don't need me. I don't want them to depend on me. I want them to be able to pull it from themselves. I want them to be able to look ahead and say, oh, wait, not today. Not today. My intention is they're not going to have that foolishness today. And you change everything in that moment. That's where this whole idea, whole heart, where we talk about taking your power back, that's where it happens. And again, remember, I didn't say yesterday I handled it perfectly. Like this challenge came and I immediately said, you know what, Denise, you are worthy and you have power in this. I did not do that, even though I'm teaching the program. So it means that I'm not perfect. But what I am is making progress. And so it didn't, there are times when something like that would have me spiraling for days. I would be a bear to live with for days. For days, I'm crying. For days, I don't see the light of the situation. But yesterday, I was able to resolve it in hours. I believe at some point I'll be able to resolve it in minutes, because I'm reminding myself what to do. And for you, whatever your word is this year, we're going to think about going back to that word so that when you are spiraling down, then what's going to happen is you're going to go to the word or what you want for yourself or what you know about yourself, and you're going to speak life into yourself. So that when you do that, you have so much more power and you have the ability to make this year what you need it to be for you and for all of those people that you influence. And so that's what I, walked away from yesterday, that by the time I laid my head on my pillow, I was feeling better. Now, if I was feeling really good, I should have apologized to my husband for snapping at him, and I should have made some of that better. But can I tell you, I'm a work in progress, so maybe I'll do that today. But I say that jokingly, but also seriously, because I think one of the greatest critics for me is me. And so oftentimes I'm telling you, you should have, you didn't, everything else. And sometimes I've got to speak and say, I know you didn't yesterday, but girl, you're going to go up there this morning and you're going to say some words to him in kindness, and you're going to give him a hug, and you'll say, you know me, after 13 years, you know who I am, but I'm trying and I'm getting better, and whatever it is. And I'll make sure that as I'm driving today, I got my gospel music on and I got all those things. So we're going to make sure that we do this together. So I'm about to tell you the question for today. But I first want to go to some of these comments. And Lois says, yesterday I got some good news in the morning, but by the afternoon I got some not so good news. I prayed that God will work it out and give me favor. I love it. And one, you acknowledge that you can be up and then down. But then what Lois is saying, but her formula for success for her is prayer. And that changes your whole perspective. So I absolutely love that. And then Alima, I hope that's right, says, me too. Surrendering to God is so helpful. I am reminded that I am not in charge. And that's true. And so ultimately understanding that there is one greater than us that's in charge, but that we could have a greater level of control, because we can, whether we believe it or not, by the end of this 21 days, you're going to believe it. We can control our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. We are no longer going to be these helpless people that everybody does stuff to us, and because of that, we react in a certain way. We're going to talk about over these 7 days, as we talk about this conflict model, and we'll show it to you tomorrow, is over these 7 days, we are going to make sure that we choose the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that absolutely and positively empower us and allow us to get to the place that we're supposed to get to in 2025. 5 is the number of favor and blessings. 5 times 5 is 25. And this is going to be an incredible year for you. I'm not saying that because I'm just trying to blow sunshine. I'm saying it because there's something in my spirit that says this year is different. Some of us came into this year very worried. Somebody yesterday said, not sure about the world because of the political situation. We came into this year afraid and worried and triggered by some things that have also triggered us in the past. But we are going to leave this year with tools and tactics and strategies and mindsets that say, what messed with me before is not going to mess with me today. What messed with me before is not going to mess with me today. And we have the power to do it. And we really have power when we do it together. So that being said, let's talk about what the question is for today. I did just realize that I forgot to share with you just a little thing that you could see as you think about your own spiraling, that on the left-hand side, it talks about when we spiral up and the positive things that happen. It's passion, it's commitment, it's hopefulness, it's all of those things. And you know when you're going up, but you also know when you're going down. And so being aware when you're feeling certain things like anger and doubt and worry and all of that, it's that time for me, what I'm learning now and what happened to me yesterday, as I said, I'm spiraling. What am I going to do about it? How do I flip that script? Then I go back to, what am I committed to? What am I passionate about? What am I enthusiastic about? And trying to turn that situation. They say in life that sometimes it's not about the situation changing, but your perspective on the situation changing. And so when Lois says she prays, that prayer changes her perspective. And I think that's so very important and powerful. But that being said, here's our question for today. And remember, I always personalize it. So I'm going to personalize it for you today. When things aren't going my way, what are my typical thoughts, feelings, and behaviors? Again, when things aren't going my way, what are my typical thoughts, feelings, and behaviors? That's what I would like you to write as we start with another sheet. We are now on page 4, which is week 2, where you'll see our theme is what's holding you back. And the first question we're going to explore on this day is, when things aren't going my way, what are my typical thoughts? What am I thinking through my mind? What am I thinking about myself? What am I thinking about life? My feelings like anger, resentment, all of those things. And what are my behaviors? What do I actually do? And so remember what the process is, that you're going to write down your initial answer this morning, reflect on the question during the day, and then tonight, you might even ask a friend or somebody who's really close to you, what do you think I typically do when things aren't going my way? And then by the end of the night, you'll finalize your answer so that we can talk about it tomorrow. Don't forget, in the Facebook page, in the Facebook group, you can ask questions, but also if you missed any of this message or any of the prior days, you can go back. And if you go to our YouTube page, Whole Heart Center, you can look at the old ones, but you can also send that to your friends and family and coworkers. Because if it's good stuff to you, I definitely want you to share it with other people. And if it's not good stuff, give me some feedback, because we can always improve. And I always have, my team helps me to improve with that as well. All right. Well, I am appreciative for another day to spend with you. I am setting my intention for today that it's going to be a really great day, and I'm going to live in abundance, and I'm hoping you'll set your intention as well. And I will see you tomorrow on day 9. You take care and have a great day on purpose. Bye-bye.